Chapter 4 Practice Test. 1a. You're asked to solve each equation and check your solution. So 1a, you have x plus 4 equal to 12. So you have to do the opposite operation to get x by itself. So you're going to subtract 4 from both sides. Which will give you x plus, this becomes 0, will equal 8. So x equals 8. And check your solution. You put your value for x back into the original equation. And 8 plus 4 is 12. So you end up with 12 equals 12. So it's correct. B. So you have 2x plus 5 is equal to 7. So you have to subtract 5 from both sides, which will give you 2x plus 0 equals 2. Divide everything by 2 since you're multiplying by 2 here, which will give you x equals 1. So again, to check it, we plug it back into the original equation. So 2 times 1 plus 5 equals 7. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 5. And you have 7 equals 7. It's correct. 1c, you have negative 7k is equal to 28. So you're multiplying k by negative 7, so we have to divide everything by negative 7. Negative 7k divided by negative 7 gives you 1k. And 28 divided by a negative 7 will give you negative 4. So again, to check this, we plug it back into the original equation. So you have your negative 7 times our value of k, which we have as negative 4. And they're saying that equals 28. So a negative times a negative will give you a positive. And 7 times 4 is 28. So that's positive 28 equals positive 28. So it's correct. D. You have 8 minus t is equal to 10. So you could do this two ways. I'll do the first way in green. So you could recognize that the t is negative and add it to both sides, leaving you with 8 plus 0 equals 10 plus t. And then you'd subtract 10 from both sides to isolate t, which would leave you with negative 2 is equal to t. Or you could also do it by subtracting 8 from both sides, which will give you 0 minus t is equal to 2. But you still have a negative t, so that's the same as right here, there's an imaginary 1. So we divide both sides by negative 1, which would give you t equals negative 2. And then to check it, both of them you can check at the same time because they're the same answer. You'd get 8 minus our negative 2 equal to 10. So a minus, and so here, I'll do it in yellow. Negative times a negative will give you a positive. So this is the same as saying 8 plus 2, which is 10. So you have 10 equals 10, which is correct. E. 3b, minus 1 is equal to 8. So we're going to add 1 to both sides. So you have 3d plus 0 will equal 9. So we're multiplying d by 3, so we're going to have to divide everything by 3. Which will give you d equals 3. Check it. We put it back into the original equation. So 3 times 3 minus 1 is equal to 8. 3 times 3 is 9, minus 1 is 8. 9 minus 1 is 8. Correct. Question 2. You're asked to solve each equation. So you have 3t plus 4, all divided by 2, equal to 5. So because we're dividing the entire left side by 2, we're going to multiply both sides by 2, which will leave you with 3t plus 4 is going to be equal to 10. And we solve it as we did above, so you're going to subtract 4 from both sides, which will give you 3t plus 0 equals 6. Divide everything by 3, which will give you t equals 2. Here they don't ask you to check, but I'm going to check it. So you have 3 times 2 plus 4, all divided by 2 is equal to 5. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 4 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 5 equals 5. Correct. So B, you have 1.25k plus 0.75k. Oh, let's try that again. So we have 1.25k plus 0.575 is equal to 0.5k. So we're going to subtract our 1.25 so we can get k on the other side, so we can isolate for it. This will give us 0 plus 0.75, which is equal to negative 0.75k. So we're going to have to divide both sides by negative 0.75 to get k by itself. And we're left with negative 1 equals k. So again, to check this, we have 1.25 times negative 1 plus 0.75 equal to 0.5 times negative 1. This gives negative 1.25 plus 0.75 is equal to negative 0.5. Negative 1.25 plus 0.75 gives you negative 0.5, which equals negative 0.5. It is correct. C. We have 6 times x minus 2 is equal to 3x. So I'm going to start by expanding the parentheses here. So 6 times x is 6x. 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. It's equal to 3x. I'm going to move x's over to the right-hand side. Giving us 0 minus 12 is equal to negative 3x. Divide both sides by negative 3. will give us 4 equals x. Plugging it back in, we have 6 4 minus 2 equals 3 times 4. So this gives us 6, and 4 minus 2 is 2. So 6 times 2 is 12. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 equals 12. It's correct. D. So you have 3y plus 1 equals 2y minus 3. Again, I'm going to start by expanding both sides. So we're going to have 3y plus 3 is going to be equal to 2y minus 6. We're going to collect the y's on the left-hand side. So subtracting 2y from both sides. 3y minus 2y gives us y, plus 3 is going to be equal to 0 minus 6. So we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. Then we have y plus 0 will be equal to negative 6 minus 3 is equal to negative 9. Y equals negative 9. And we're going to check it. But we're not going to have room up there, so I'm going to check it below. So we're going to have 3, and then instead of having y, we have negative 9, plus 1 is equal to 2. Again, we have negative 9, that's y, minus 3. So negative 9 plus 1 is negative 8. And then you have negative 9 minus 3, so negative 12. So 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. 2 times negative 12 is negative 24. They equal each other. It is correct. Question E. So you have x plus 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2 plus x minus 2 divided by 5. So I'm going to start by getting rid of the fractions. So because I'm dividing by 3, I'm going to multiply everything by 3, being sure to remember this too. So you will be left with x plus 6 is equal to 6 plus 3x minus 2. I'm going to do the same with the 5. Again, remembering the 6. Like 30 plus 3x minus 2. So I'm going to continue by expanding the brackets. So we'll get 5x plus 30 is equal to 30 plus 3x minus 6. So I'm going to make the 30s disappear. You could also gather your like terms at the moment, so including the negative 6, but I'm going to leave it for the moment. So we get 5x plus 0 equal to 0 plus 3x minus 6. I'm going to bring the x's over to the left-hand side. This will leave us with 2x will equal, this goes to 0, so negative 6. Divide everyone by 2. So x equals negative 3. So now we can check this by plugging it back into the original equation. So we're going to have negative 3 plus 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2 plus negative 3 minus 2 divided by 5. So negative 3 plus 6 is positive 3. Divided by 3 is 1. And then we'll have 2 plus negative 3 minus 2 is minus 5. Minus 5 divided by 5 is negative 1. So then we'll have 1 and then 2 plus negative 1 is 1. So it works. Question 3. So she is testing 25 grams of fertilizer. So our total is 25 grams. She plans to give each test plant 0.4 grams of the fertilizer. So each plant will get 0.4. And she's expecting to have 8 grams left over for the future tests. So we'll have our leftovers will be 8 grams. So we want to solve the equation that they've given us, which is 0.4n plus 8 equals 25. So here what they have is 0.4 times the number of plants. So n is number of plants. So I'm going to draw flower. So we have the plus 8 is because we're going to have 8 grams left over, and all of this has to add to our total amount of fertilizer. So we want to know the number of plants that she can have in her test so that this still works. So we're trying to solve for n. So I'm going to move the 8 over to the right hand side, which leaves us with 0.4n plus 0 is equal to 17. Then we have to divide everyone by 0.4 so we can get n by itself. So n equals 42.5. So an important note here is we can't have half a plant. So the 0.5 isn't going to work. And we don't have enough fertilizer to be able to do 43 plants. So the number of plants that she can have in her test is actually going to be 42. So she can have 42 plants and have the 8 grams left over. If we had rounded up and given that to be 43 plants, she would not have the full 8 grams. So it would depend on whether she's expecting the exact amount of at least 8 grams. So our answer would be 42 plants. Question 4. So we're asked to rearrange the equation A equals P1 plus RT. And we want to isolate for R. That's what we're trying to get. So I'm going to start by dividing both sides by P, because we're multiplying the right-hand side by it. So this will give us A divided by P is equal to 1 plus RT. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides, which will leave us with A divided by P minus 1 is equal to RT. And we're going to divide both sides by T, which will give us A divided by PT minus 1 divided by T equals R, which can be simplified by if we multiply this by P so that we have a common denominator. Then we'll have A minus P divided by PT, and there's your answer, because that equals R. So if you missed that, what I did was, because I multiplied what's circled in yellow by P, we didn't do anything to this. However, 1 times P is P, and T times P is PT. So then I just put the two equations together. Because you're subtracting, and we have common denominator, this turns into this. You could also have done it a little bit differently. You could have chosen to multiply it out so that you could see it better. So doing it this way, you would get so again, still isolating for R, it's the exact same question. We could have multiplied this out so that we had the P distributed, which would give you A, P plus PRT. So we'd subtract P from both sides. A minus P is going to be equal to 0 plus PRT. And then we divide both sides by PT. So this gives the same answer, equal to R. So it's still the same thing. Question 5. So Mitchell works in a lab, and he's going to mix a 35% solution of acid and a 80% solution to get 70 milliliters of a 50% solution. So we're going to have X as the number of milliliters of the 35% solution, and we're going to use the equation 0.35 times X plus 0.8 70 minus X, which is going to equal 0.5 times 70. So these numbers came from, so we have 35% of the acid, so X, the number of milliliters, so 35% of the milliliters of acid, and then 80% solution, which is going to be the total milliliters minus the acid, which will give you the solution that you're mixing it with. And then over here we have, it's going to be a 0.5 solution because it's 50%. So 50% times the milliliters will give you your total. So I'm going to start by expanding out the parentheses all the way across. So we have 0.35x plus 56 minus 0.8x, which is going to equal 35. So I'm going to gather my like terms. So we have 0.35x minus 0.8x, which is negative 0.45x plus 56 is equal to 35. I'm going to subtract 56 from both sides, which will leave me with negative 0.45x plus 0 will equal negative 21. So we have to divide both sides by the negative 0.45 to get x by itself, which will leave you with x is equal to 46.67 milliliters. So for question 6a, they've given you a graph which looks something like with the equation 2x minus 4y plus 12 equals 0. And they want you to find the slope and the y-intercept for each of the linear relations. So our y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, which is at x is 0, y is 3. And we want to find the slope. So if we go rise over run, so we'll use the 2 points that are indicated. So we're going to use this. So our rise is 1 block, and our run was 2, so our slope would be 1 divided by 2. So if we were to write this in slope y-intercept form, it would be y equals mx plus b. So this is your y-intercept, this is your slope, so it would be y equals half x plus 3. So we can check this, which I'll do over here in red. You can take your equation and rearrange it so that it's in the correct form. So we can do this by setting it equal to y. So we're going to add 4y to both sides, which will give us 2x plus 0 plus 12 equals 4y. So we have to divide everything by 4 to get y by itself. 2 divided by 4 is a half x plus 12 divided by 4 is 3 equals y. And again, you can see your slope, or your y-intercept, and your slope. So 6b, you're given a line that looks like something like this, with the equation 6x plus 3y plus 9 is equal to 0, and they're looking for the same thing. So your y-intercept would be at 0, negative 3. Your slope would be, so you have to find 2 points. Their 2 points that they've given you are, there's a point right there. My poorly drawn line doesn't quite show that. There we go, it's a bit better. So, for slope, we have our rise over run. So we're going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our rise is 6, and our run is going towards the negative side by negative 3. So rise over run gives us 6 divided by negative 3, which is negative 2. And again, you can check this from your original equation, where you had 6x plus 3y plus 9 equal to 0. So we'll move y over, so it's almost by itself. So you get 6x plus 0 plus 9 is equal to negative 3y. So you have to divide everyone by negative 3. 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2x. And then you're going to have 9 divided by negative 3, which is negative 3, equals y. So you have your y-intercept, and you have your slope. So question 7 is looking for doing the same thing as question 6, however, we're not given graphs, we're just going to do it algebraically. So 7a, you have 2x plus y minus 3 equals 0. So rather than ending up with a negative y, I'm going to move the other pieces over to the right hand side. So I'll start with the 3, giving us 2x plus y plus 0 is going to be equal to negative 3. Then I'll move 2x over, giving us 0 plus y. It's going to be negative 2x minus 3. So we have y is equal to negative 2x plus 3, or sorry, minus 3. So we have our slope and our y-intercept. So slope is negative 2, y-intercept is going to be negative 3. So for b, you have 6x minus y minus 1 is equal to 0. So I'm going to add y to both sides, giving us 6x plus 0 minus 1 is equal to y. So 6x minus 1 equals y. So again, negative 1 is our y-intercept, 6 is our slope. And we go on to c. So 7c, we have 2x plus 3y minus 12 is equal to 0. So I'm going to move 3y to the right hand side, leaving us with 2x plus 0 minus 12 is equal to negative 3y. So we have to divide everyone by negative 3. So 2 divided by negative 3, we can just keep as negative 2/3 x. And then negative 12 divided by negative 3 is 4 equals y. So our y-intercept will be plus 4, and our slope will be negative 2/3. And then we go to D. So D, you have 4x minus 5y plus 10 is equal to 0. So we can move y over to the right hand side. So you get 4x plus 0 plus 10 is equal to 5y. We have to divide everything by 5. So you get 4 divided by 5x plus 2 is going to be equal to y. So y-intercept is plus 2, slope is 4 over 5. So we have, last one for part 7 is E, so we have 3x plus 2y minus 8 is equal to 0. So I'm going to move 2y over to the right hand side, always using opposite operations. We have 3x plus 0 minus 8 is equal to negative 2y. To divide everyone by negative 2. So we're going to get negative 2 divided by 3x plus 8 or 4 is equal to y. So again, y-intercept, slope. And it's always important to make sure you do not flip things for no reason. This was supposed to be 3 divided by 2. Perfect. On to question 8. So for 8, we are rearranging each formula to solve for the variable indicated. So 8a, we have p equals 2a plus b, and we are solving for a. So I'm going to subtract b from both sides, which is equal to 2a, since the b's go away. And we have to divide by 2. So p minus b divided by 2 is equal to a. For b, we have a equals p plus PRT, and we want to solve for r. So we're going to subtract p from both sides, which will give us a minus p equals, the p's go to 0, plus PRT, and we can divide by p and t at the same time. So we have a minus p divided by pt is equal to r. So 8c, we have a equal to a plus b times h all over 2, and we want to solve for b. So I'm going to start by multiplying both sides by 2 so that we're looking at fractions. So we get 2a is equal to a plus b times h. So I'm going to divide both sides by h, which will give us 2a over h equals a plus b, and because we want b, we're going to subtract a, which will give us 2a divided by h minus a is equal to b. Question 9. When a polygon is constructed on a geoboard, the enclosed area can be found by counting the number of pegs on the perimeter of the polygon and the number of pegs on the interior of the polygon. The formula for the area is a equals half p minus 2 plus I, where a is the area, p is the number of pegs on the perimeter, and I is the number of pegs on the interior. So, in question A, you're asked to find the area when there's 22 pegs on the interior. So when I equals 22, and when there's 14 on the perimeter, so P is 14, and its area you're looking for. So you just plug the values in. So you have A equals half 14 minus 2 plus 22. So you have half 14 minus 2 is 12 plus 22. So half times 12 is 6 plus 22, which is 28. For part B, to rearrange the formula to solve for the number of polygons. So we're trying to rearrange for I. So I'm going to start by subtracting I from both sides. So you have A equals half P minus 2 plus I. So if we subtract I from both sides, you end up with A minus I is equal to half P minus 2, and that just becomes 0. So next I'm going to subtract A from both sides, which gives us negative I is equal to half P minus 2 minus A. So we're almost there, except for we have a negative sign in front of the I. So that's the same as having a negative 1 hanging out in front of the I, so we're going to divide by negative 1 all the way across, which just results in a sign change. So you end up with I is equal to negative a half P minus 2 plus A. And there's your final answer. So then we move on to part C, where you're asked to use this to continue. So we're going to erase the top part, but I'll leave the formula at the bottom so that we can refer to it. So for part C, we want to find the number of interior pegs. So I is what we're looking for. So we have an area of 32, and pegs on the perimeter is 30. So we plug them in. So we have I is going to be equal to negative a half 30 minus 2 plus 32. So we'll have negative a half 28 plus 32. So negative a half times 28 is, well, negative half of 28 is 14, so you're going to have negative 14 plus 32, which will give you 18 as your final answer. Okay, question 10. So the total cost of a meal at a banquet hall is $20 per person. And then there's an additional $50 charge for having the hall at all. So if there's the $50 charge for renting the hall itself, we want to write an equation for the cost of booking the hall. So we're going to use C as cost. So for part A, we're going to have the cost is going to equal 20 times the number of people plus 500. For part B, they're telling us that if there's 60 people, what is the cost? So cost will equal 20, and then it's $20 per person, so it's going to be 20 times 60 people plus the $500 fee for renting the place. So this will be $1,700. For C, we're asked to suppose that the cost was $21.60, and we want the number of guests. So we would plug it in. Will equal 20x plus 500. So we're going to subtract 500 from both sides, which will give us 166, which will equal 20x. And then we're going to divide both sides by 20, which will leave us with x is 83. So there's 83 people. And that's it for the practice test.